Okay, Roberta, it's 6:30.
All right, thank you. I am Roberta Jorgensen, Chairman of the Paso Robles Planning Commission. This is the Planning Commission meeting of October 27th, 2020. Please note that due to the COVID-19 emergency and in compliance with the state and county shelter-at-home orders, and as allowed by the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, which allows for a deviation of teleconference rules required by the Ralph M. Brown Act, Planning Commission meetings will be held by teleconference only until further notice. A video stream of Planning Commission meeting presentations will be live streamed and available to play later on YouTube by accessing the following link, www.prcity.com/YouTube. Rather than attending in person, project applicants and members of the public must call 805-865-7276 to participate via phone. The phone line will open just prior to the start of the meeting at 6:30 p.m. or written public comments can be submitted via email to planning@prcity.com. Written comments received prior to 12 noon on the day of the meeting will be posted as an addendum to the agenda online at www.prcity.com/agenda center/planning-commission-5. If submitting written comments in advance of the meeting, please note the agenda item. So I will now call the meeting to order, and if everyone could mute your speaker for a few moments, I will lead us tonight in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and may we have roll call?
Commissioner Christensen.
Present.
Commissioner Kogler.
Here.
Commissioner Neal.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Gibson.
Here.
Commissioner Castillo. Chairperson Jorgensen.
Here.
The record will reflect that Commissioner Castillo is absent. He did notify staff that he was not going to be able to make it due to a work conflict.
All right. I don't see that we have any general public comments regarding matters not on the agenda. If that is correct, staff?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Thank you. And I see that we do have an agenda item postponed to be tabled or rescheduled. Would staff tell us about that?
Yes, we had originally intended to have planned development 19-14, which is located on 408 3rd Street. It's a triplex on this agenda for a hearing tonight. We had some issues with the neighborhood notice, so we are asking the Commission to continue this date certain to your next meeting, which will be November 10th.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will go on to the public hearings for tonight. Agenda item number 1.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Could we actually get a motion to continue it date certain to November 10th?
All right. I beg your pardon. Is there a motion from the commissioners?
Madam Chair, it's Commissioner Kogler. I'll move that we continue Plan Development 19-14 public hearing to the meeting on November 10th.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion by Commissioner Kogler, second by Commissioner Davis. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, may we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Kogler?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Gibson?
Aye.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen?
Aye.
Chairperson Jorgensen?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you. So now we'll move on to public hearings. So our first agenda item is time extension 20-07, P18-0085 for Tentative Tract Map 3069 on Wisteria Lane. May we have staff report?
Thank you, Chairperson Jorgensen. So this is a time extension for Tract 3069, which is for the Erskine Parkway, Wisteria Lane. We've been calling it it's an industrial, it's an industrial subdivision. So here's a location map. You can see Highway 46 East at the bottom of the screen, Airport Road.
We're not seeing that, Katie.
Okay.
We're seeing Warren.
Oh,
You know what? Hang on a second. We forgot to start the video feed. Screen 2. Okay, can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
okay, so here's our location, Highway 46 East at the bottom of the screen. Airport Road is off to the right of the project. The project is circled in white, and then it's a little bit paler than the surrounding. So you can see that the extent of the track map. So this is a request for a 2-year time extension. It's a phased vesting tentative tract map, number 3069. The applicant has made several requests for time extensions. In the past, we've approved 1-year time extensions. The municipal code does allow up to 2-year time extensions. And so today staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve a 2-year time extension. The applicant is currently working on public improvement plans. They have been submitted to the city, and the city and the project consultants are working to get public improvement plans in place. And so the applicant is actively working on the project. It is anticipated that the tract will be recorded in the near future. So here's a look at the track map. This is actually rotated. I put a north arrow at the bottom left. This is rotated, so north is now to the right of your screen. So you can see Wisteria Lane coming in from the top of the screen now, and you can see the hatched area is the proposed limits of the phased 1 improvements, which would include lots 1, 2, 3, 5, 12, and 13. There would be a roundabout at Wisteria and Erskine Parkway, installed, and an alternative emergency path would be extended from Erskine Parkway over to Paso Robles Boulevard. And the phase 1 utilities would terminate at the end of the phase 1 boundary with temporary lift stations for wastewater. You can move to the next slide. So the Planning Commission does have some options. The first would be to approve draft resolution A, which would approve the request for a 2-year time extension. And there's a little bit of discussion about timing on the expiration dates, but staff is recommending that the map be extended to August 2nd, 2022. There were some amendments made to the project back in, I believe it's 2018, it's in the staff report. And so this time extension would incorporate those amendments, and those would go forward. In addition, the Planning Commission could decide to amend the time extension. You could refer back to staff for additional analysis, or if the Planning Commission can make findings, they could deny the time extension for this map. The staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve this time extension. And as I said, the option would carry forward those previously approved modifications. In your staff report, there are some track changes that show you what the changes were. Those are in Exhibits A and B of the draft resolution. I do have slides here for them. I'm not sure how in-depth we want to go, but they do show that the applicant, with phase 1, the applicant would have to install those lift stations, would have to make some circulation improvements, emergency access over to Paso Robles Street. There would need to be a new 2-lane divided arterial street, and those would need to be part of phase 1 and 2. In addition, a roundabout at Wisteria and the connection road, which I believe is being called Erskine Parkway, and then that those would be this could be reimbursed subject to AB 1600, the AB 1600 program that allows for some improvements to be reimbursed. There's another. Yeah, so in addition with phase 1, there is a 20-foot wide public trail easement that would be available to the public. So this is an improvement of the project that would be available for the public to use, and would connect Airport Road with the the projects to the left, or to the west of the project. So that's an amenity that's will be available to the public. So those are the some of the amendments, and that is the end of the staff report. If you have any questions to that.
All right, thank you. So commissioners, let's make our roundabout here for questions. Let me start with Commissioner Kogler. Do you have questions?
No, Madam Chair, I do not.
All right, Commissioner Davis.
Katie, just for clarification, I know the applicant in the staff report, it says the applicant is asking for a 2-year time extension. The engineer indicates a 1-year time extension. I just wanted some clarification on the difference.
That was probably poorly phrased in my presentation. I believe you're right. The applicant did request 1 year. Staff is recommending 2 years. We see these time extensions come in routinely on an annual basis, and in an effort to just use less staff time and to save the applicant some time, staff is recommending a 2-year approval. The California Subdivision Map Act allows time extensions up to 6 years, and our local municipal code allows up to 2-year time extensions. And so that is staff's recommendation. But if the Planning Commission feels that they'd like to see this project again in a year, they could certainly only approve a 1-year time extension.
Thank you very much, Katie. I was just wondering about the two different references. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Neal.
No questions.
Commissioner Christensen.
I have none. No questions.
And Commissioner Gibson.
I have a few questions. So on page 9, it says the site design issue is that there'd be a reduction in the width of the street by 16 feet and an elimination of on-street parking. Why would that be to the benefit of the city?
I believe the city engineer is on the line, or more.
Hi, Commissioner Gibson. This is David Athy, city engineer. So the idea behind narrowing the road and eliminating parking is that this is an arterial, and this will be the future airport road. And with most of the new airport road that we're building through the city, it just didn't need to be that wide. It's going to be 3 lanes with bike lanes with it, and also and so having parking on the street doesn't serve the purpose. This is an industrial subdivision, so we expect the parking to be on the lots. They're rather large, 4 to 5 acre lots, 3 acre lots. So that was the change, and it also saves the applicant money and satisfies the circulation element for what the city is looking for.
But just, you know, the devil's argument, wouldn't it, because it's industrial, wouldn't it indicate that having on-street parking, especially for either pickup trucks with trailers or trucks and trailers, that would be beneficial for people to be able to do that?
It possibly could be, but again, these lots are so large, there should be ample parking within within each lot to, you know, accommodate any of the trucks, cars, or trailers.
Okay, I'll just use an example. I went to PRW Steel on Saturday with a full-size pickup truck and a 16-foot trailer, and there honestly was no place to park. I actually had to block driveways in order to park to be able to load up with steel. So I'm just saying I'm not in favor of that aspect. So that would be my comment. I'll move on with my other 2 questions. David, I'm assuming this is you too. I'm trying to understand it says there's an all-weather, there's a 30-foot access and all-weather temporary emergency access. I'm taking that's intended to be temporary up until some point in time. Is that correct?
Yes, at some point in time that'll likely go away. However, Paso Robles Boulevard will be remaining in some form in the future. There it's shown on the screen right now. That is mainly for fire, a second way out for fire access because there is no connection at Old Airport Road yet.
Okay, so in theory, the purpose of this is temporary until this goes through phasing and it's connected so that it provides an ingress and egress from multiple directions. Is that correct?
That's correct. It allows access on Paso Robles Boulevard back to Highway 46. It also supplies or provides access to Lot 4 down below. So I think, the applicant's engineer is here. They can talk about how they see this maybe as turning into access for that Lot 4. If you'd like more, information on that.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand the temporary nature of it, of what was being proposed. So then my last question, I guess it would probably be Katie, is on page 16 on the draft resolution on section 2 would indicate that we would hereby grant a 1-year extension, but that it would expire on August 2nd, 2022. So I'm assuming that would be needed to be changed to we hereby grant a 2-year time extension on the resolution.
Yes, you're correct. We should amend that to be 2-year if that's the pleasure of the Planning Commission.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So at this point, I will open the public hearing, and if the applicant or the applicant's representative would like to address the commission, please do so now.
I would. Thank you, Chair Jorgensen. This is Rob Miller. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, just fine.
Wonderful. Thank you, and to all the commissioners. I'm the applicant's civil engineer representing both the Erskine family and the wonderful company who are jointly developing this project. We do appreciate the idea of a 2-year time extension. It seems like those years roll around very quickly and they take both time and money, and so we would appreciate the additional time, though we certainly hope not to need it. We are nearing the end of our road here at a council meeting, hopefully in November. Our various agreements deal with the reimbursements and the traffic impact fee credits should be considered, and then we look forward to completing the street connection and the various utilities. So excited to finally move this forward. We know it's a critical link for the future of the city circulation plan, and we're looking forward to it. I did just want to briefly note that many of the lots on the westerly side, are being retained by wonderful companies. So you'll see projects for the development of those lots, and consistent with the current practice out there, all the parking will be incorporated into the lot itself, including provisions for truck queuing with respect to those westerly lots. So it is something that's being currently hardwired into the physical development of the lots as we look at them in more detail. But I'm happy to answer any questions since I have the full history on the project, and would appreciate your support for a 2-year time extension.
All right, thank you. Let me go through the commissioners and see if there are questions of the applicant. Commissioner Kogler?
Madam Chair, no specific question. I just would like a head nod from staff in that the extension that was granted by the Planning Commission in November of 2018 was the action that also changed the road configuration and allowed this temporary emergency access. And is that correct that actually has been approved in the past, and the item before us tonight, although we can reconsider anything, is simply to approve the 2-year extension?
That's correct. No new amendments are proposed this evening.
Great, thank you. That's all, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Davis?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Neal, questions for the applicant?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Christensen?
I have none. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Gibson?
I have no questions for the applicant. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your coming here to meet with us tonight virtually.
Thank you.
And if there are members of the general public who would like to speak, staff, can you let me know if there are any in our queue?
No, ma'am, there are not.
All right, then I will close the public hearing. So I will bring this item back to the commission for comments and discussion. I'll go around one more time. Commissioner Kogler,
No further comments, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis,
Since we have David Athy there, I just wanted a refresher that this road, not regarding this extension, but regarding the circulation, that eventually it will go beyond the roundabout through the crossing and connect to Airport Road. Is that correct? And what is the timeline for that?
That is correct. Actually, this section of road will be connected across Highway 46 on a new overpass, and it'll be the new airport road of the future. There'll be a roundabout, another roundabout just to the south of the one shown on the screen there for Tractor Way, and that completes or will provide the connection for our secondary routes through the city, our parallel routes. And to the north or the right side of your drawing there, there'll be a new bridge that connects down to the existing airport road. And so this will be the main thoroughfare from the airport to Union Road of the future, so that we can get traffic off of Highway 46, those right turns and those left turns at the existing airport.
Okay, thank you. And I did hear the applicant's engineer talk about the important linkage to the city's circulation plan. So thank you for the reminder. Thanks.
Yeah.
all right, Commissioner Neal, any discussion?
No question.
All right, Commissioner Christensen, do you have any discussion?
I have none. Thank you.
All right, and Commissioner Gibson.
Just the one comment. I am in favor of the extension of this and recognize that this is, part of a link of future planning. But I'm not in favor of the site design change of reducing the width of a street. I don't ever think that's good practice. Having driven even, like I said, just smaller equipment around, sometimes you just need to even just pull over, and creating a situation where you don't have that, I think, is a problem that's unnecessary. As was stated, there's plenty of room. It's not like we're pinching somebody off and creating areas that can't be developed by maintaining a road standard. So I'm in favor of the extension and a 2-year extension, but I'm not in favor of the road design change. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I guess we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. This is Commissioner Neal.
All right, thank you.
I move to approve draft resolution A, approving the request for a 2-year time extension, including the previously approved modifications to the conditions of approval for tract map 3069 to August 2nd, 2022.
I'll second that.
All right, so the motion by Commissioner Neal, second by Commissioner Kogler. I will go around quickly one more time for discussion before the vote. Commissioner Kogler,
No further comments.
Commissioner Davis,
I have nothing.
Commissioner Neal,
No further comments.
Commissioner Christensen,
No further comments.
and Commissioner Gibson.
Just clarification, the maker in the second of the motion that does or does not include the site design change for the roadway.
The maker, it does include the site design change as that was previously approved by the Planning Commission, as well as, and I forgot to mention this, the change on page 16 regarding the verbiage for the resolution.
So Commissioner Neal, are you amending your motion to include page 16?
I did forget to include that verbiage change on page 16 of the site. Let's see, let me get to it here. As Commissioner Gibson pointed out.
So Commissioner Kogler, as the seconder to the motion, is that exchange acceptable to you?
Yes, it is.
All right, then I will ask for the roll call vote.
Commissioner Neal,
Aye.
Commissioner Kogler,
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen,
Aye.
Commissioner Gibson,
No.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Chairperson Jorgensen.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-1.
All right, thank you. So agenda item number 2, time extension 20-08 for the Destino Hotel Resort, plan development 08-002, conditional use permit 08-002, and vesting tentative tract map 2962 P16-0034. And we have the staff report.
Thank you. Yes, so this is a time extension for the Destino Hotel Resort located at 3350 Airport Road. And as David Athy pointed out, this is soon to be Old Airport Road. Slide. So location, this is just to the east of Tract 3069 that we just discussed. So now looking again on Highway 46 East at the bottom of your screen, Airport Road running up through the middle of the screen, and then the site is outlined in red. There are currently 2 parcels there. The tract map would subdivide into 6 parcels. Next slide. So again, this is a request for a 2-year time extension. There were some amendments to the Destino Hotel Resort entitlements that were approved in 2017. The Planning Commission is being asked tonight to just extend those, the amendments that were made in 2017. Again, no amendments are being proposed to the current entitlements, which include a 6-lot tract map. That is a phased vesting tentative tract map. There are 4 hotels. The plan development includes 4 hotels with a maximum of 291 rooms. The applicant reports that she is working to secure investors for the project, and so as is requesting the time extension so that she can continue that work. New slide. So here's a look at the development plan that was approved by the, eventually it was the city council that approved this project. So Hotel 1 is kind of near the center of the site. It's the largest hotel, and then there would be a Hotel 2 and 3, and then a Hotel 4 at the bottom left of your screen. So the hotels would come in a phased manner, but would total 291 rooms. The applicant had provided these images with the previous entitlements. So these are just some sites looking from Airport Road towards the site, looking at the hotels. You can see Airport Road would be divided at this site. There would be bike lanes. Now, this is the actual tract map that you would be approving. 6 lots. One of them would be to the west of Airport Road, would not be developed, and then there'd be 5 lots to the east of Airport Road that would accommodate the hotels. And then parcel 5, I know it's hard to read, it's the second lot from the bottom left. It would actually retain, there's an existing farmhouse, it would retain that farmhouse, and then the other 4 lots would have different hotels on them. So the Planning Commission has similar options as the last project. You could approve the draft resolution that would approve the request for a 2-year time extension for all the entitlements, the plan development, the conditional use permit, and the vesting map. These would be extended to January 17th of 2023. The Planning Commission also has the option to make some modifications. You could refer the project back to staff, or with findings, you could deny the time extension. Staff is recommending that you approve the draft resolution. There was one typo made in the staff report. The APNs for the project should read as they're on your screen. And one of the APNs, I transposed the 3 and the 4 in the middle 3 digits. So they should read as you see on your screen: 025-436, 029, and 025-436-030. We want to make sure that the resolution reflects the appropriate parcels. So that is staff's recommendation, and I am open for questions.
All right, thank you very much. So I will go around commissioners for questions of staff. Commissioner Kogler.
Madam Chair, nothing specific to this except for one kind of tangential thing. Katie, I'm wondering if you can go back to the site plan that showed the hotels and the parcels. This is not a question that goes to the matter before us because I certainly support it. Parcel, on that one's fine. Parcel 1 at 0.9 acres. Does that have any future use? Is that adjacent to something it could be combined with? In the back of my head, I'm just trying to make sure that's not deterring access to some existing property that I'm not familiar with to the west side there, to the roadway.
I have to turn on my microphone. I believe that the existing parcel, Airport Road, runs through an easement through the parcel. And so there's a little chunk that exists off to the west side. And the idea is this would be open space. It would not be developed.
Do you know what lies immediately adjacent to that parcel on the east side there?
Warren, if you put up the location map. Warren, if you brought up the location map, we could see, I believe it's the Werrero. Yeah, and then chapter 369.
So it's more open space.
And you can see the green zoning is for open space.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I was curious about.
All right, Commissioner Davis.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Neal.
No questions.
Commissioner Christensen.
I have a question. What does the parcel look like now? Was this not approved with a different map before? Am I mistaken? Or was that also a tentative submission?
Yes.
Some years back. Could you give me a breakdown of that?
Sure. So the image that we showed a few minutes ago is the proposed tentative map. And so that's the map that they're asking for a time extension. I feel like I'm not answering the question you're really asking.
I guess, what is it now? Is it currently one parcel? I thought that they had already submitted for like 9 parcels at one time.
Right. Today, it's 2 parcels. There have been multiple iterations of this project. I believe it started back in 2008. In 2017, there was an amendment to the proposal, and that's the current proposal was approved in 2017. So this is just a time extension. So today, there's 2 lots, and when all the conditions of the tentative approval of that map are satisfied, the final map could be recorded to make this into 6 lots.
Okay, yeah, thanks. That answers it. I guess I was thinking that it had been approved, but my mistake. So I don't have any other questions other than that. Thank you.
Commissioner Gibson.
I just have one, and it has nothing to do with approval or disapproval of the extension because I'm in support of it, but either Katie or Warren, on page 48, item number 7, I found this kind of fascinating. From an education perspective, can you provide some insight about what happens? So the prior planning commission approved an extension from September 11, 2018 for 3 years. And then you're stating that the planning commission doesn't have that authority. So how did we arrive that it was January 17th?
So the original approval, or the approval of the amended entitlement was made on, I'm going to go back to my notes so I don't get it wrong because it was stated incorrectly in previous staff reports. So it was originally approved on January 17th of 2017. The typical practice would be to, when you do time extensions, would be to forward the sort of the life of the map or whatever entitlements there are from the same date. So you would, if it was approved on January 17th, 2017, you would then approve an extension that would go to January 17th of 2018 or 2019, and you would keep that same month and day. Last year when this project came, no, not last year, it was in 2018 when the first time extension was granted. The intent was to give a 2-year time extension, but somehow the time extension was made to extend to September 11th of 2021. The way the resolutions read was that it would be a 2-year time extension, but then the expiration date that was given was even longer. And so I don't think the intent was to extend the map for 3 years. The reason staff is recommending that we go back to the January date is just so that we get back on track and we go back to a January 17th expiration. Basically, it was an error that was made in 2018 and then continued to get forwarded on. And the idea is the California Subdivision Map Act does not allow maps to be extended beyond 6 years from beyond what they're originally approved for. And so the idea is to get back on track. And so that if and when we get to that 6 years beyond the original approval time period, we would be ready to expire the map. There was an error made in 2018, essentially.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to wrap my head around, what the date. So I appreciate the explanation. Thank you very much.
All right, so at this time, I will open the public hearing, and if the applicant or the applicant's representative is present and would like to speak, please do so.
Well, I'd like to thank the personnel and the city planning department.
Could you, I'm sorry, could you give us your name and your affiliation with the project?
Yes. I'm Karen Steyer. I am the project applicant for the Destino Hotel Resort, 3350 Airport Road. And I'd like to thank the personnel in the City Planning Department for your excellent staff report that you've prepared. And thank you especially, Katie, for presenting tonight. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the effort that you've extended to assist in moving the Destino Hotel project forward. And likewise, I have done everything that was reasonable to keep this project alive. Unfortunately, since the beginning of the year, the hospitality business has suffered serious setback. The hotel business is all about bringing people together to interact with each other. On the other hand, the only current approach to defeat the once on 100 years virus is to keep people separated from each other. Needless to say, as you all know, the industry has been devastated. The criteria financial and lender underwriters use to determine the financial viability of projects has been turned upside down. Uncertainty prevails, and nobody can really predict when normalcy will return. Unfortunately, the Destino Hotel project has not been spared. The efforts by developers to move it forward have been extensive and very expensive. But it is a good project for the city and could ultimately have significant benefit. I think it's prudent to recognize that the current economic situation is beyond our control. Conversely, it's not unwise to allow ample time for the adverse circumstances to see a course correction. So I respectfully ask for your approval for my request for a 2-year entitlement time extension as recommended in your staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't believe that we have any other members, or do we have any members of the general public to speak? Would staff confirm that?
No, ma'am, we do not.
All right, thank you. Then I will close the public hearing, and I will bring the item back to the commission for your comments and discussion, and I will start with Commissioner Kobler.
No questions or comments, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Davis?
No questions.
Commissioner Neal?
No questions or comments.
Commissioner Christensen?
The only comment I'd like to make is that I hope things turn around and that she can get right back to this project.
Thank you. Commissioner Gibson?
I echo Commissioner Christensen's comments. I think this is a very interesting and appropriate project for the location.
All right, thank you. So I think we are ready for a motion.
This is Commissioner Neal. I'll give it a whirl.
All right, thank you.
Move to adopt Resolution A, granting a 2-year time extension for the planned development PD 08-002, CUP 08-002, and testing tentative tract map 2962, extending entitlements to January 17th, 2023.
I second that. Christensen seconds that.
All right, and we also had a correction to the property APNs that is up on the screen right now. Would the motion maker care to add that to the motion?
I would be more than happy to add that to the motion. Forgive me for missing it.
Okay, and the seconder is okay with that?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, then I will go around one more time for discussion before we take the vote. Commissioner Kogler,
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Davis,
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Neal,
Nothing.
Commissioner Christensen,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Gibson.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
All right, staff, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Neal?
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kogler?
Aye.
Commissioner Gibson?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Chairperson Jorgensen?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you. Okay, discussion items from staff.
Yeah, we have no discussion items scheduled for tonight.
All right, and the consent calendar includes Planning Commission minutes for September 8th and October 13th. Is there a motion to approve?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Commissioner Gibson. I believe there's 2 corrections that need to be made.
All right.
On page 69, it identifies item number 1 as the motion made by Commissioner Kogler, seconded by Commissioner Christensen, but noting that Commissioner Christensen was absent. So I believe that is probably needs to be Commissioner Castillo.
That must be wrong. Is that your recollection that it was Commissioner Castillo?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, honestly. I just
I'm
noted
pretty
that.
sure I wasn't there.
Yeah. As magical and high regard as I hold Commissioner Christensen, he obviously could not have made the motion. So
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be magical thinking for sure.
Madam Chair, as the maker of the motion, my recollection is that indeed Castillo was the second.
Okay, all right. And then the second correction would be on page 70, item B of item 3 all the way at the bottom. It says it passed 502 and it actually was 412 because I voted no on that item.
Yes, I recall that. All right, staff, have you noted both of those changes?
Yeah, we got the correction on Castillo's second. So it was item 2 that the
No, 3. Item 3.
Almond
on the
Acres.
bottom of page 70, item 3B.
Okay,
I voted no.
and that was on motion or resolution B. You voted yes on resolution A, is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. All right, so we'll show that as a 4-1-2, no Gibson.
And with those corrections, I would move to accept these minutes as amended.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, staff, may we have roll call vote? It was motion by Commissioner Gibson, second by Commissioner Davis.
Commissioner Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen,
Aye.
Commissioner Kogler,
Aye.
Commissioner Neal,
Aye.
Chairperson Jorgensen,
Aye.
So the motion passes 6-0 with corrections as noted.
All right, thank you. And other reports?
Yeah, so there's a couple things we've got. First of all, the Housing Constraints and Opportunity Committee met last week. They are in the process of assisting with some of the zoning code changes that need to be part of the housing element implementation process. So we had a good meeting with a consultant kind of going over some general parameters for how these changes are going to be processed, as well as what to expect in the housing element that's coming to the Planning Commission on your next agenda. So the housing element's been approved by the state HCD. It is scheduled for your next meeting. You'll be making a recommendation to the City Council. That'll include some zone changes, and then there will be a larger package of more comprehensive zone changes that the Housing Constraints Committee is working on that'll probably come back through for commission consideration early to middle of next year. So that is the report on housing constraints. There's also another ad hoc committee that the City Council is considering impaneling. The council has discussed the possibility of reviewing the city's policies on marijuana or cannabis within the city limits. Right now, the city policy is that only the distribution, basically the delivery of medical marijuana, is allowed, and all other marijuana-related business activity is prohibited. So the idea is that the council is going to appoint an ad hoc committee to review that and then potentially make recommendations in terms of any changes that may be warranted based on the ad hoc committee's work. So there'll be 2 council members on that committee. The council is asking for the appointment of 2 planning commissioners. So I am looking for discussion and then any recommendations or volunteers that would like to serve on the cannabis ad hoc. We expect it'll be a fairly similar process to the short-term rental task force a couple years ago, which was fairly labor-intensive, met regularly, had to deal with a lot of issues. So anybody volunteering for it should be available for probably bi-monthly, if not weekly meetings at some point as part of this task force.
All right. So, so Warren, you would like those names tonight for us to see if there are commissioners that we would recommend tonight?
Yeah, ideally we'd get them tonight. If the commission needs more time to consider it, we could definitely deal with it at the next meeting as well.
All right. Commissioner Christensen, you seem like you're ready to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was offered to volunteer.
All right, great. And is there a second volunteer from the commission?
Yeah, I will do it as well. This is Commissioner Neal.
All right, great. Well, thank you to Commissioner Christensen and Commissioner Deal. I appreciate that. All right, Warren, there you are.
All right, thank you.
Anything else under other reports?
No other general reports.
All right. Okay, so it is time for planning commissioner comments, and I will go around in our usual order. Commissioner Kogler.
Thank you. Just a couple quick things. First of all, a thank you, Warren, to you. The pipeline report that you sent out recently, then you sent out a subsequent map, and I may have missed maps in the past, but this one was really helpful in quickly kind of putting in perspective what's going on and where it's happening in the city. So I appreciate that. And then before we adjourn tonight, I would simply ask that staff, and you probably would do this anyway, identify who the DRC folks are for next month, because I think I'm one of them, but I want to make sure. That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Staff, do you want to go ahead and say that, or do you want us to come back after you check?
So Yeah, give us a minute, we'll look it up. So
Okay, all
we'll
right.
catch up on that item. In terms of the
All right,
pipeline report, though, that's the first time that we did produce the map. It does seem like most comments we got back was much more useful than just a really long list. So the plan is to continue to produce that as we do updates to the pipeline report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Davis, what are your commissioner comments this evening?
One is actually a question to staff, if it's possible, and I don't know if it might be, but when we have a map that comes up on the screen and staff is referencing it, do you have the capability, I know you're doing Zoom, but I'm not familiar with Microsoft Teams, if you can give control to the cursor to the staff member presenting, it really does help lead our eye to what you're commenting on. And I honestly don't know if you have the capability to do that, but in Zoom you can, and it works quite well.
So we do have the ability to do the laser pointer with the PowerPoint presentation. So we'll use that more in the future.
Yeah, sometimes I didn't know if you needed the laser or if it's just the cursor or what but it is helpful if you can kind of lead our eyes to what you're pointing. I know you're describing quite well, Katie, but I just think it might help some of us just process information a little bit more efficiently.
Okay.
So it's just an idea.
That's good feedback, because it's a little hard sometimes for us to tell what's helpful and what's not, since we're not all in the same room, but we'll make sure to use better use of that in the future.
Yeah, we can try it. And I just want to thank staff. You know, a lot of things have been coming our way over the last few months. We know you're working hard and you're doing a great job. So that goes to all of you. Thank you.
We'll pass that along.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Neal?
A question and a comment. On the pipeline report, Warren, will we be receiving both the spreadsheet as well as the map?
Yeah, the plan is to publish both of them together in the future.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to commend staff as well as our incredibly capable consultant on getting the housing element through the state in one pass. That I think does not happen very often, and says great things about our staff and our consultants. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Commissioner Christensen?
No, I have no further comments. Thank you so much.
All right, Commissioner Gibson?
I would like to say thank you again, Warren, for that map. I found that very useful. It's one thing to have the list, which I appreciate having, but combining that with the map, I was hugely impressed by that. I actually learned quite a bit in taking the time to peruse the map to figure out what was going on in different sections of the town. So I appreciate that. I do have a question. I mean, earlier in the year, we had discussed that sometime during, I thought it was this calendar year, that we were going to be working on or addressing the ADU update. Can you give us some sort of a timeline on when we might be working on that?
Yeah, so that is one of the issues that the Housing Constraints Committee discussed. So that is one of the implementation measures of the housing element. That is a fairly comprehensive code update, probably be several pages. So that's going to be basically a work task that the Housing Constraints Committee will be making a recommendation to the Planning Commission on. That'll probably be middle of next year when that's ready for hearings at Planning Commission.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
And then I have a question. The Motel 6 conversion to homeless, emergency, and low-income housing, I understand that I'm not sure I understand it, but by I think that by state mandate, that is just a procedural approval. But is there any reason that would come to Planning Commission for any kind of review and approval, or is that just go straight through as a allowed use? Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that one up. I was going to do a little bit of background on that issue. So that is part of the state's Home Key program. That was a governor's initiative that came out of the COVID-19 pandemic response, and the idea was to increase sheltering for homeless people and to do it as quickly as possible. So the state identified the repurposing of older motels and hotels as a potential solution to that issue. For that reason, the state basically identified a significant amount of funding for that purpose. They did release notice of funding availabilities, or NOFAs, earlier in the summer, that they were entertaining applications to purchase hotels for that purpose. Based on that NOFA, there was a partnership between the San Luis Obispo Housing Authority, People Self-Help Housing, and ECHO to apply for a grant to purchase Motel 6. At the time that was submitted, that was like a $12 million ask. It was thought to be a long shot with a very low likelihood of success. But it came to be that the state did determine that that was a project worthy of funding. So recently, the state did announce that they would fund the purchase of the Motel 6. So as part of Project Home Key, any project or property that's funded through Home Key is basically exempt from CEQA and determined to be consistent with general plan policy and the zoning ordinance. So by the fact that the state has funded the project, it's basically exempt from any environmental or any sort of planning review process. They basically get to go straight to the building permit process, which is their next step. So they are under a very tight timeline to open this up for services. They need to close on the property, basically acquired in November, and then by early 2021, it does need to be operational and basically serving the identified housing needs. So that means that they'll have to do some very quick internal remodeling, and they'll need some building permits for that, but that'll basically be the city's primary role, at least community development wise, is just overseeing the permitting and inspection of any building modifications. The only kind of discretionary piece in this decision that the city has authority over is a previous grant that the city received through the county. That was the HEAP grant that was about $1 million that was going to be used to build the shelter next to the wastewater treatment plant. So right now that grant basically doesn't have a purpose because we stopped work on that shelter. Basically, People Self-Help is looking or requesting that that grant be redirected to the purchase of Motel 6. That is part of the funding scheme for that project. City Council has scheduled a special council meeting this Thursday, which is October 29th, to consider that request. So that is a decision that is local authority about whether we're going to participate financially in the project. So let me know if you have any questions on any of that.
All right, thank you very much, Warren. My other comment, it sounds like I'm tagging on with what other commissioners have said of commending staff, but trust me, I was thinking about this during the presentations tonight that I'm just, we rely so much on staff and the quality of their work and their recommendations that I just, want to say thank you, and it means a lot. We couldn't do our job without it. And tonight, I was listening to Katie talking about all these approvals and procedures and entitlements, and it's very impressive, the level of detail that just flows from our staff and their knowledge. So thank you, Katie, and thank you, Warren, and thank you to all of the staff in community development.
Thank you, and we'll pass that along to Lori and Darcy and Darren,
Yes.
who aren't here tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. All right, staff comments.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Kogler.
Yes.
If I could hit rewind for just a second, Warren, back to the Motel 6. I did have one question. Does the action that the council takes tomorrow have any bearing on whether the project proceeds or not?
It appears that it does. People, self-help housing, and the housing authority need basically some additional funding to close the escrow. The HEAP funding would provide that. If the city decided not to participate with that funding, they would have to find an equivalent amount of money in a very short order, which could be a challenge.
Okay, thank you.
So we had a question about DRC for November. So the three commissioners on DRC will be Jorgensen, Kogler, and Davis for November.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so
Excuse me, I think I have myself down for December. I think Ty was taking November for me. Is that correct, Ty?
Yeah, I think I was too. That's why I asked for the schedule the other day, and I noticed it had me on for September and October, but it didn't have me on for November. So I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not clear on what we need to have to do there, but I'm happy to take over for November.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I have a class that goes until 4 and I would be routinely late for DRC. So thank you.
okay, so then for November will be Jorgensen, Kogler, and Christensen.
No Davis for December. I am taking December.
Okay, but for November, it'll be Christensen instead of Davis, just to confirm.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We'll make sure that's updated.
Thank you, Ty.
Okay, so some upcoming items for the Planning Commission. Your next meeting's November 10th. We just continued the townhouse project to that date. We did receive an appeal on a sign that was approved by the DRC for the Valero gas station on Spring Street. So we're working on bringing that forward. The city has been updating our camping ordinances to deal with some of our homeless issues in the river. That's going to require also an amendment to the zoning ordinance. So we expect that to be on your next meeting for consideration. And then, as I mentioned, we also have the housing element project. We've got we've received a number of new projects over the last couple weeks, just to bring your attention to. One is a project from the Paso Robles Housing Authority, which is to develop an 80-unit affordable senior project on that vacant pad next to the JCPenney's building in the Walmart Center. So that team, which will be the Housing Authority, plus their construction partner, Reds, out of the Central Valley. We've been working with them on getting that application pulled together. That'll be a quick turnaround in that they have to apply for tax credits by March. So that's likely going to be on commission agendas in January as that one moves forward. The annexation for the Paso Robles Gateway project is moving forward. The city has formally submitted the application to LAFCO. So you recall that the Planning Commission recommended approval and the council approved the project. But that basically just gets us to the next step where we have to go through the county LAFCO process to actually bring that into the city limits. We held a briefing with the LAFCO board middle of October. They had a number of questions about groundwater, traffic, emergency services, that sort of thing. So I think we've got a good understanding of what the final issues will be at the hearing. The hearing will probably be early next year. We've also received an application for a historic airplane museum at the Paso Robles Airport. This would be in addition to the warbirds. This is known as the Yanks Air Museum. It's actually a museum that's currently located down in Chino, California at the airport there. Their plan would be to move their entire museum up here to Paso Robles. They're proposing a 230,000 square foot museum. So that's basically twice as big as the Walmart in town. So that is is starting the process. There's a lot of lease negotiation issues because that'll involve the city-controlled airport land as part of that. So as that moves forward, that'll be coming to DRC and then eventually to the Planning Commission. We also received an application for the expansion of the Justin Winery that basically goes along with that map extension that you considered tonight. So Justin Winery basically has 3 buildings at the end of Wisteria. They just applied for 2 more buildings. Those will be additional production and warehouse buildings, another 237,000 square feet among those 2 buildings. So they're very interested in moving that forward, and that will be combined with the road improvements that we were talking about for that subdivision. And then let's see, finally, the Grandview Apartments, they're on Spring and Niblick. They're moving ahead, so if you haven't been by lately, it's good to drive by. They're in the process of repainting the buildings right now. The DRC approved the landscape concept for the project this week, so that project is actually moving ahead quickly, and hopefully we'll have that reopened soon for the public. And I think that'll conclude staff's report. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. If there's no further discussion, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, as Commissioner Kogler, I would move to adjourn and just note that the Dodgers are up 2-1 if anybody's interested.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll second that. This is Commissioner Christensen.
I'll second both of those.
All right, I think I'm going to declare consensus that we are in adjournment. So thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.